Hey everyone, so today I'm going to make my first video for my Languages as of Laz channel. So, of course, on this channel I'm going to be explaining how to learn some languages and I'll talk about the languages I've learned, and I want to make a community to discuss about languages and all that, and hopefully help people that want to learn them but feel like they can't. So today I'm going to touch on a topic that I think pretty much anybody, even avid language learners like myself, can relate to. So it's feeling like we can't learn a language. Even now, I feel like when I dive into a new language, like I'm never going to get to being able to communicate with people or using or reading the language. So this is actually not, it's a, what's the word for it? It's a non-problem, because actually, we usually, you know, in the beginning, of course it's going to be foreign to you. It's going to be something that just you can't wrap your mind around at all. And I think the problem that most people have in learning a new language is that actually they don't know how much time they actually need to put into the language. And I see a lot of people, if they're learning anything new, not just languages, they usually have a range of how interested they are in that new activity. And it's usually the honeymoon period. And I think everyone has heard about the honeymoon period before. You first start it and you're like enamored by it. It's like, wow, oh, whoa. French is such a beautiful language. It sounds so amazing. And and then you see yourself in your head. It's like speaking French. Je m'appelle Laz. I learned French for a very short period and I already forgot most of it. But anyway, it's that honeymoon period that kind of we need to get over. It kind of works as a good initial boost, but after that, you have to rely on a different thing, and I'll talk about that. But I'll first talk about like the honeymoon period, how much time it takes. Like usually there's a minimum. I would say like the minimum is about the least, I would say maybe like a couple hours, but usually most people get bored or get dejected after 1 week of study. 1 week of study is usually most people's limit, and then the max, and I find this for myself, is usually a month or a month and a half. And recently with Swedish and when I was studying Spanish for a little bit, I hit that wall there, and then I had to do something else. So why do people do this? Especially on the 1 week end, I think the reason people give up after that short of a time is, well, there's two reasons. First of all, they make an unrealistic study plan. So for instance, like they'll be like, oh, I want to get fluent in a month. Or actually they don't have like the concept of, let me put in 3 points here. So they don't have the concept of how much time it needs to take. They don't have a good study plan. And then what was the last one? I already forgot. Okay, but I'll first talk about the first one. So like, if you're going to learn a new language, let me tell you this. You're not going to learn it in a month. You're not going to learn it in 3 months. You're not going to learn it in a year. It's going to take years. This is like you're marrying someone. You're going to be with that language for the rest of your life trying to get better and better. Even now, as a native speaker of English, I have mistakes, And everyone does. Every native speaker will make a mistake when they're speaking, because first of all, the definition of a mistake is very ambiguous, right? What actually is a mistake? For instance, like in English, there's many different dialects, right? There's, British English, there's Australian English, and, for them, there might be something grammatically correct that for us Americans are is not correct. And I remember the first time I heard Chinese people speaking British English, I was just like, that's not correct, But that's how British people speak, So um, it just confused me, But so that's the thing. Mistakes aren't usually, sometimes are ambiguous. But anyway, like I said, it takes a long, long time. Even after studying about 8 years of Mandarin, I of course make mistakes, I make better mistakes now, but, and that's how I think what we can foresee in the foreseeable future. like, you'll make mistakes, but you'll always make better mistakes, and you'll always have better problems. And that's what we need to see, not just in language learning, but in life. We need to expect that we only have better problems. We never get rid of all problems. So that's what we need to kind of embrace, is this always getting better, but more always getting better problems, and then fall in love with these new problems and just keep going. And so that's the thing. It's going to take years and years and years, and if you want to get fluent like a native, then it's going to be the rest of your life pretty much. Well, I would say for some languages, like European languages, if they're hard, if they're easy for English speakers, maybe like 3 or 4 years. Stuff like Russian, Polish, I would say 5 or 6. If you're going for Japanese or Chinese, especially Chinese, and especially if it's like Cantonese, you're going to be spending maybe 10 years of your life. I'm not even there yet. Like, I still pick up a book, and even native speakers pick up books, and they see characters they've never seen before. Okay, well, so that's what you have to see in your head as like the time frame. So the second thing is your study schedule. So the problem a lot of people have in the beginning is they don't know that. I mean, they just say, okay, I'm going to do 2 hours of studying every day. And that's not going to happen, especially, if you have a job and maybe you have kids and all this. It's going to be hard to find 2 hours. And also another problem is you haven't made language learning a habit. And I think that's actually the king of problems here, is that you need to make your studies habits into habits. Well, I kind of spoke a little backwards there, but anyway, you got to make a habit into it. So it's like me with trying to do yoga every day. I hate yoga, but I know it's good for me, I mean, it's like my brain hates yoga and my body hates yoga, let's say that. And I want to do yoga, but my body, it always feels like a 500-pound man pushing against me when I tell my brain it's time for yoga, and it's like, no. So a lot of people have this for languages. I don't anymore. Sometimes I do when I'm in a bad mood or whatnot. But so if you are like that, you feel like you have a 500-pound greasy fat man pushing you every time you tell yourself it's time to study. Well, then what you can do is, don't tell yourself you're going to do 2 hours a day. If you're new to language learning, you can do, unless you get addicted to it really quickly, try doing 15 minutes a day. And set a timer, and then tell yourself, after this 15 minutes, I'm going to reward myself. And then reward yourself maybe with like a cookie, or maybe watch a new episode of some show that you really like, or whatever else you think is a good reward. But you want to reward yourself because you want to make your brain know that this new thing is good. And the thing is, like, your brain already, that 500-pound greasy fat man that's pushing you is the guy that's saying, don't do this. This is bad, So you want to trick your brain into saying, or I shouldn't say trick. You want to what is the word? I'm trying to think of like a computer-y sounding word. You want to rewrite. Okay, that's not computer-y, but it's what I want to say. So you want to rewrite your brain's program and say, okay, this is not bad, this is good. And it's a lot harder than you think. So you got to you have to be patient and give your brain time to get used to this new activity. And it'll take usually roughly 3 months to actually get into the groove. So this is also a problem with the honeymoon period. Usually getting into a habit takes around 3 months. And if you have a honeymoon period that lasts at max 1 month, then you have to actually, after the honeymoon period, you have to rely on willpower alone, pretty much. And actually working with your habit-making system, not just forcing yourself, working with the habit-making system and only doing maybe 15 minutes a day. And if 15 minutes isn't enough, is too much, then only do 10 or 5, or even just pick up a book and open it and then look at one sentence, or do something for even like 30 seconds and then close it, and then, that's what you do. And then the next day try to do a little more. And see, and then you just build it up very gradually. This is more effective than the first day doing 2 hours of studies and then hating it so much, and then the next day being like, oh my God, now I have to do it again. Well, I'll go watch Star Wars instead. So that's what you got to do. I think it's a concept in Japanese. I think it was like Gaizen or something, but I know in Chinese it's Gaishan, and it doesn't have the same connotation as it does in Japanese, but it's a good concept. Like I heard this from what's his name, Tim Ferriss, where he said, like, if you hate flossing your teeth, then the first time just floss one tooth and then quit. And then the next day, floss it again. And then just one tooth. And then eventually your brain gets used to it. And then it's like, hey, well, one day it's just like, well, hey, one tooth isn't bad. Why don't you try 2? And then you just slowly build it up, and then it becomes a habit. That's what you want to do. You want to make things become a habit. That's like ground level there. You need to make that base, of a habit. So that's really the biggest thing for language learning. It's not like some crazy learning method that you heard from, like some Nigerian prince on Twitter trying to sell you like languages for dummies. It's just learning how your brain forms habits, pretty much, and that's pretty much everything. So really, I think we need to start on that level, is realizing that learning a language takes a shit long time, and also that you need to work with your brain, not against your brain. So go with the flow, not against the flow. That's pretty much what it is. But I'm thinking you need to do some interpretation there. But anyway, that's why I failed in a number of languages. For instance, Spanish, French, Japanese. But then it's this method that I use. Being able to work with my brain has helped me learn a lot of things like yoga, and it's also got me through one of my newest languages, Cantonese. Well, it also, after realizing this, and also realizing another thing that I'll make in a video later on, I was able to actually learn my 4th language. Well, yeah, pretty much. I would say my 4th language, it would be Cantonese, and then Chibanese may be my 3rd, but it's like a half language to me almost. All right, well, that's all I have for today. Maybe I didn't just speak everything that I wanted to say, but, I just want to get something out there for my first video. Okay, well, I'll see you guys, and see you in the next video. Ooh.